welcome to the Talk with me, Kimodo HSC. Today I want to do quite a quick one on what's happening. We know that the Raila's AUC bid is on, and a lot of views outside there, a lot of positive views out there, mixed reactions given the circumstances we have right now in the country regarding the corruption. Maybe the corruption is exposed by Morara Kebaso and few things that have not been accomplished or realized as it was promised. And also the university fund, the controversial one. Let's say it's quite a controversial subject, given that you realize that the president is talking about the vice chancellors, but he's not talking about the students. So the vice chancellors are talking on behalf of the students and on behalf of the country and on behalf of the parents. Are we okay with that? That a few designate themselves the power to speak on behalf of others in terms to do that things that affect. Yes, we have to accept that maybe on the university model, the university funding model, it's simply that universities funding model. But what about the students funding model, which has to do with the help and loans and what have you? There is quite a concern that is only one-sided people that agree with the funding model, and frequently the president has been talking about the vice chancellors every now and then. No other stakeholder is being mentioned more than the vice chancellors in this whole saga of the university funding model. It is quite good for the universities. Yes, we must say it is quite good for the universities. Some universities are slowly coming back into life. But what about the students? What about the students funding model? Did they do enough to make people or the students or the parents understand about this funding model? And I don't want us to dwell on that. It has been dwelled enough. Maybe we are quite a bit late. That's why we have decided that today we'll do quite a quick one. And today I want us to focus on why are we so obsessed with these fundings? Why are we obsessed with bursaries? Why are we obsessed with this? To all talk about the funding, the CDF, the bursaries. It is because the common mwananchi doesn't have money in their pocket. If we had money, all of these things would have become a bit easier. But now you will find a parent advising their kids that hebu soma vizuri tupate bursary ama tupate scholarship ama tupate sponsorship. Is that the motivation that the student should get, that unasoma vizuri upate bursary, unasoma vizuri upate scholarship, unasoma vizuri ndio upewe help? Because you realize in this whole saga, then little was mentioned about the TVET. The TVET's representation was not really there. Does it mean that they don't need this funding? Really? At what point do we don't have to go that way to make sure that in the higher education sector we have those we want to speak as not sharp but are still Kenyans. They are still Kenyans. We should find a way to put them in these conversations about this funding model. And as you saw the president in the town hall meeting, there was little of that. We didn't find enough information regarding the TVETs, the diploma students. It was quite reason being there was no representation. Maybe if they would have represented themselves, they would have expressed their issues in a better way. You can't expect that a university or a public university student will express the issues of a diploma student or a TVET institution student in a better way than he or she could. We have to look at it that way, and we have to divert from this. We have focused on more funding, but we didn't focus on more on making sure that we empower the parent, the guardian, the society, so that we can maybe jump into this ship together to fund the schools and maybe the student. We are doing it at a point of individual sectors. We have to look at the parents. So you have schooled the child. What about the dependents? What about the parents? What about in an institution, in a situation where, let me go back a bit to CDF and bursaries. You have given a student from a high school, from a day school, a bursary. Yes, atasoma, ataenda kulala njaa ama atakula enough shule aende alale. So you have to look at it in such a way that, yes, you have funded the student to go and learn, but this student needs learning, needs a good environment to continue learning, needs to see their parents and their siblings in a better. We have to empower a whole society, and I guess that was the intention of CDF. But now you realize that the CDFs have become a bursary scheme, only bursary scheme. Yes, a few leaders here and there are doing quite a good job, doing quite developments here and there, but we have this overfunding in terms of CDF monies to bursaries. We have to strike a balance, or else we should consider removing the bursaries from the CDF, and maybe remain a few funds. It remains with a few funds for development and others, so that we can empower the society as we empower the student, and then as we empower education, so that we incorporate all these things and we move forward together. Let us make sure that we point our issues in the right way possible. Let us not be overwhelmed by a certain issue and overlook other certain issues in a manner that maybe doesn't help us in finding the right way to move forward. The other thing, let us leave that. We'll keep coming back to this. Maybe let us allow these new students to join in, and maybe we can give them a chance and see how it gets sorted, and how for those who abandoned wrongly, how their things will be looked into. We are watching. We should make sure that we follow up on these things and make sure that we get the best we deserve. Now let us go to the AUC bid. You realize that the AUC bid has become more of a Kenyan thing, and we have forgot that it is an African thing. We have a lot of countries in Africa. It has been hyped so much in Kenya, but what about the other countries? What about Tanzania? Do you expect that the Tanzanians maybe know this quite well, that their country and other countries have fronted a Kenyan leader for the AUC? And how about the rest of the countries? So we are about, let's say, it's quite a journey, but Raila, well, it is quite difficult to explain, but because it is being hyped more in Kenya than it is being hyped more in the rest of the continent. But then you realize that in every politics, in every election, there is something to give and there is something to take. So what is Kenya giving? You can't say that we are giving a leader. There is something hidden that we have to know. What is Kenya? You will find, maybe I stand corrected on this, but there is a country, maybe we'll have a deal on exchange of oil, maybe coal, maybe something else, maybe business business wise, maybe in terms of doing in terms of doing business with countries. Maybe they are offering something in return to vote for a certain candidate. What are we offering as a country? It is quite a long journey until February. Many things could happen. He could lose. You realize that Raila went into this thing knowingly that a lot of Kenyans maybe expected him. He would be a pillar of revolution in terms the status quo, in terms to do with the financial crisis we are in as a country, in terms of taxation. As far as the finance bill 2024-2025 has fallen, there are a lot of things that need to be looked at, especially corruption and recurrent expenditure, where we have a very bloated government that needs to be looked at. We have to stay focused. We have to look at how we can maybe look at our constitution again, and maybe find where the loopholes are, in terms, especially in terms of bloated government. We have overrepresentation of the Kenyan people. Let us focus on these things, and let us make sure that we don't take a back seat and let a few people maybe try to move this along alone. And maybe we should take part in the building of this nation, and make sure we correct where we have done wrong and where we have gone wrong. And we should know that for all the crisis we have in this country, we as a people are part of this. We have been a part of this. We have been a part of where we are today. We have to rectify it together and speak in one voice as a people. We have been left alone. You realize that the opposition is quite fragile. We really don't have an opposition. We have to make sure that we, the people, are the opposition, and make sure that we keep the government in check. They should serve us, not us serving them. They should serve us. That is it for today. Maybe I said it's quite a quick one. I didn't want to wait until around 7 days. Others, I usually do a weekly one on Sundays, but we will try and make sure we are consistent. Do it a lot more through the weeks, through the days, so that we keep the consistency and grow wherever we need to grow. Thank you. This is the Talk with Kemodo HSC. Until next time, thank you.